Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this afternoon we're going to have a look at the latest GFS ensembles, and then we'll have a look at some precipitation charts, and also have a look at some storms that we're seeing today. I'll also run through what I would look at when I'm looking for storms throughout the computer models, and I'll show you what sort of signs you want to see if and when storms are going to crop up. Do remember, if you enjoyed my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. Remember to follow me on Twitter as well for the latest updates. Link is in the description. So currently we'll just quickly run through the GFS before we get on to looking at the storms. You can see it's this area of low pressure centred over the top of the UK, which is providing instability over the top of the UK with a lot of rain and storms. Now, as we move through, you can see that low pressure continues to mill around, which means it's going to be unsettled, a lot of showers around, and again, still the decent chance of a few thunderstorms. Does look like, though, Thursday into Friday, we could be seeing a deluge moving in. It does look like it stalls a bit over Scotland, so perhaps the weather fronts do start to peter out as they head eastwards, but will still be some heavier rain with that. Beyond that, we again under lower pressure influence with high pressure to our north, so it's going to be reasonably cool, but nothing too substantially cold, but still generally unsettled. As we head towards day 10, another low tries to rattle through. It doesn't really make too much progress very quickly, and again stalls over the top of the country. That would be very symbolic of a low where the weather fronts sort of peter out, and then we continue with some heavier showers. Beyond that, we do have quite a cold northerly wind. And this is pretty chilly indeed, and you can see potentially 0 degree line does come through, and it means there could be some frost in some regions. Again, not likely in city centres, but in rural areas, potential for that. Beyond that, it does look like high pressure does topple over after that brief northerly, and we do go into a more high pressure spell with potentially some very hot weather heading up from the south towards the end of the run. You can see under a big ridge of higher pressure, we move that slightly a bit eastwards, pull up the wind from the south, and we could be going quite warm. Again, it's 384 hours, so I wouldn't take it too literally, but again, it just gives you the sign, even though we are quite unsettled and cool at the moment, there is a decent chance we do see some warmth heading into May. If we now have a look at the GFS ensembles, you can see how generally temperatures are around average, and then we do see that drop as the little northerly wind comes in, and then temperatures recover to around average. Some is going quite warm, some going quite cold, and you can see the operation run towards the end of the run going very warm indeed. So again, an outlier there right to the end, but there's a lot of scatter, so I wouldn't really look at anything beyond about 7 days. Again, I was saying there's potential for warmer weather towards the last third of May. It does look like at least the first 4 or 5 days. Well, I was looking at the last third, really, last 10 days, but it looks like the first 4 or 5 days of that is looking like it's going to be cold. Last few days haven't resolved yet, but there's still the chance, as we saw with that operational GFS run, of some warm weather. But again, it's going to be very difficult to tell, and given the current pattern we've been seeing, I'd say it's probably a minority option at the moment. Still a lot of showers and sort of thundery activity around, not an absolute weather front deluge that we have seen, so we can see in the winter or the autumn, but it's going to be a lot of rain bands where some regions see a lot of heavy rain from convection, others don't see a lot. So again, it'll be very much radar watching for that. We'll now run through the latest precipitation charts. So you can see again very heavy showers today, a few thunderstorms. It hasn't quite updated. It hasn't updated, unfortunately. So we will run. Let me just quickly check the 6 o'clock run. Oh, there we go, because it was looking at the midday run for yesterday. So you can currently see we've got some heavier showers over parts of the UK. Quite heavy rain in the south, and we'll look at that in a minute in more detail. Some thunderstorms further northwards. Does clear overnight, and again more showers again tomorrow, and again more showers before it does look like it might settle down a little bit before weather front spreading in from the southeast as we see that deluge on Thursday into Friday. If we now have a look at the icon run, you can see again heavy showers today, quite widespread, and then again more showers tomorrow, and then it does look like it turns a little bit drier, it's in the north perhaps on Tuesday, and then Wednesday's a little bit of a dry day. Again, a few showers around, and then we see that deluge head up from the south. If we now have a look at the R pairs, you can see again very similar. Generally quite a few showers around, and then again more showers on Monday. Very similar areas, so most of England and Wales, parts of northern England as well, seeing these heavy showers, and then again Wednesday more showers, perhaps a bit more organised in sort of the Midlands areas with a bit of rotation there, potentially a mini little low. If If we now have a look at Meteoseal, and I'm just going to briefly show you what I would look at if I was looking at the models and I only have 5 minutes and I just want to see where the potential for storms would be. Now, the two things I would look at, just generally for heavy rain storms, would be Cape and would be having a look at the surface winds. Now, there are other instability measures here that you can have a look at. They could be give you more of an indication of potential tornadoes, funnel clouds, rotation, and could tell you how lively and how long-lived these storms are going to be. But generally, I'll just show you Cape. So Cape is the conductive potential energy within the atmosphere, joules per kilogram. So basically, how much energy per pocket of air. So if you have a look at that, you can see positive numbers are descending air, and negative numbers are where it rapidly rises. So you can see this starts at 9 a.m. and you can see as we go through the early afternoon, we see this quite high levels of Cape. At least for the UK, these are decent levels of Cape for this time of year. You can see mainly in the north. So first of all, I'd look and say, okay, looking like Midlands northwards is most likely to going to see some thunderstorms, parts of Southern Ireland as well. You can see some thunderstorms, and they've got the energy for it. You see some potentially quite big Cape, or a localised big Cape around sort of the Liverpool, Lancashire area. So we have to watch out for that, and parts of East Anglia as well. Does look like Southern England, though, doesn't have a lot of Cape. Neither does Scotland. And if we continue running through that, the Cape does diminish overnight, and generally dissipates before starting up again tomorrow afternoon. Looks like the Cape has transferred a bit more southwards and eastwards, so thunderstorms could be forming further southwards and eastwards. So now this gives you the idea of energy in the atmosphere, but you've also got to look at lift. So what would generate these storms? So you can see we're generally under low pressure, but also something that can provide lift and generally does form many of the sort of sustained thunderstorms in this country is convergence zones. Now, convergence zones is where different wind directions meet each other. And where that happens at the surface, there's only one place for the air to go. It goes upwards, rises, and which gives the lift for these thunderstorms. So if we just let's go to 2 o'clock this afternoon, you can see there's sort of a mini low pressure system heading through southern Wales, southwestern parts, and we aren't seeing that indicative on radar at the moment. You can also see some convergence zones, perhaps in Scotland, perhaps in southern parts of Ireland, where wind direction changes very quickly, and then again, winds heading up northwards and potentially a little convergence zone towards northwestern parts. Could be some lively thunderstorms, and that does combine with the Cape. You can also see where they band together, stronger winds, and again, chances of convergence zone. It's just really providing any lift. And as we head through the evening, you can see that little low pressure system, surface low, towards southern Wales, is spreading eastwards, potentially providing more lift as well. You can see again, more convergence zones in northern England, where these two winds directions collide. Again, you could provide sort of an area where thunderstorms form alongside it. And again, you can see those wrap around, and you're just really watching out for where these convergence zones set up as an indication of where we could see some potential thunderstorms. And if we run into tomorrow evening and afternoon, you can see there's potential for convergence zones in northern England. Again, you see winds coming in from the west over Wales and the west coast of northern England, and then you see the wind coming in from the east on the east coast. Now, where these combine in central northern England, Midlands, that's where you get the lift, and you could see those thunderstorms. So again, it'll be interesting to see how that does come off. Now, these convergence zones don't always produce thunderstorms, but they're an indication of where we could be seeing some severe thunderstorms. Along with that Cape, it is indicative of where we could see thunderstorms. So if you have a look at the live radar, now you can see that mini low pressure system I was talking about. That's providing the lift for these sort of heavier showers in southern England. Now you can see with the Cape, there are not really any big sort of thunderstorm cells. Perhaps a couple in southern Wales. Again, some heavier pulses, but not too much lightning strikes. And I'll show you the current lightning in a minute. And if we run through this, just looking at the southern England, you can see how it's sort of spiralling a little bit under that sort of little surface low. You can see these areas are moving a bit eastwards, parts over Wales moving a bit more southwards. We won't go into the future cast at this stage. But if we look further northwards, you can see while I was talking about convergence zones, we can see there's a lot more of these localised little cells popping up around the Yorkshire, parts of sort of Manchester, Liverpool, Lancashire, where we are and are seeing some thunderstorms. Now again, at this stage, they aren't too severe, but as I showed you in the charts earlier, you can see with the wind convergence over northern England, Cape levels quite high. They are, and Cape levels weren't extraordinarily high, but they were higher than other parts of the country. Shows you why northern England have got the highest indication of storms. Now, those charts don't give you the exact location, but they show you the general area. So even though we've probably got the heaviest and most sustained rain in the south, the highest likely chance of seeing some big thunderstorms is actually further northwards in these sort of isolated cells. And you can see, again, towards Scotland, more showers around, but as you can see, Cape is less, so we're not seeing these big thunderstorms break out. And in Southern Ireland, where the Cape was decently high as well, you can see there's a few thunderstorms as well popping up. If we do run back, and we'll primarily look at Northern England, if we run that along, you can see generally, if we just get that to try and, you can see generally these thunderstorms are not moving particularly far. If we just run that back, hopefully the frames have actually loaded this time. You can see the thunderstorms where the cells are don't actually move too much, and that's because they are forming in the convergence zone. And as soon as the shower moves out of the convergence zone and out of the more significant Cape, it tends to lose its energy. So we see these thunderstorms popping up in this area, moving and sort of subsiding a little bit. So that just generally shows you what I would look at if I was looking at the commuter models for where, if I was trying to say where the most likely chance of storms are. And you can see the model, the charts I showed you a couple of minutes ago, shows that they are correct in saying that their biggest thunderstorms are most likely in northern England. And if we look at the latest lightning radar, you can see again, no lightning strikes. If we just zoom out briefly so we can get a bit of an overview, no lightning strikes in southern England where we've seen the heavier rain. A few lightning strikes in the Midlands, perhaps an isolated cell there, but the majority of strikes have actually been in sort of the Yorkshire area. I do expect there are probably going to be some more strikes as we head through this evening. Surface heating is probably at its peak right now, combined with the instability, convergence zone. So we're probably going to see the peak thunderstorms at the time I'm recording this video, sort of popping up. A few lightning strikes in Southern Ireland where there was a bit of Cape as well. But you can generally see where the convergence zones are, where the Cape was highest. That is where we're seeing these isolated thunderstorms. So anyway, I hope that just gives you a brief indication of what I look at. There's a lot more science and stuff that does go into forming these predicting where these thunderstorms are going to crop up. But that's just a general little idea of what you could be looking at if you wanted to know where the highest chance of any thunderstorms were cropping up. Now, in the summer, we probably would see much higher Cape, and that's where we get the big beefy thunderstorms where it covers quite a large area, and we get line convection as well. So these are sort of not big summer-based thunderstorms, but that just shows you indications of where we could be, where in the future, over the next few days, if you wanted to look at these models yourself, that's what I would look at if you wanted to see where these thunderstorms were popping up. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to me, and I'll see you again for another video soon.